Hello, family. Welcome to today's edition of Career Coaching and Mentoring Class brought to you by Sedat Consult with support from Logo Brand. Please contact Logo Brand on 020-395-4216, 020-395-4216 for all your branding and graphic designing needs. Others say, play it, but be cautious. Another person says, well, it was really very critical for me at the point when I realized that office politics is really important for my career. It was almost too late. Some says, look, in this world or in the workplace, either you are seated at a table or you are a menu on the table. Which one do you choose? And that is why today we are discussing this really very critical topic. We are privileged today to be hosting one of Africa's best HR practitioners, career coaches, and personal growth coaches, Emmaline Datey. Emmaline is an HR journalist with over 10 years experience of human resource practice with several industries, including aviation, oil and gas, academia, and media. She is also a public speaker, career coach, and personal growth coach. Emmaline has been honored as one of Ghana's 100 most influential women in 2017 and one of the top 100 speakers in Ghana in 2018. She has been the HR and admin manager for a fast-growing media broadcast group, EIB Network Ghana Limited, since September 2014, where she assists the company in managing and coordinating human capital assets in line with companies' policies and strategy. Emmaline chartered as a professional in HR in 2014 with Human Resource Certification Institute USA and possesses a first-class degree from the Valley View University in Human Resource Management. Emmaline is currently a certified or a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and leadership coach. And there is a lady who is helping us or who is going to help us to digest this very important topic, office politics. And I'm wondering what you know about office politics. Do you think office politics is something that we should be concerned about? Do you think it does more good than harm or the other way around? And do you think that if you are not playing it, you are shortchanging yourself or you are shooting yourself in the foot? Or you think if you don't want any problem, just stay away from office politics? Yeah, thank you so much, Emmaline. It's always a privilege to have you. Thank you for the support. Very, very grateful.
You're welcome.
Sure, then let's start with the basics as usual. When we talk of office politics, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, so it's interesting how the word is become very bastardized. When we get politics, we all like, oh, this word is a bad word. I don't want to be part of it. Mm-hmm. But before I tell you what politics is, I mean, politics is everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Aristotle said man is a political animal. And that is because, you know, whatever we do is guided by certain decisions, beliefs that we have. Okay, certain intentions that we have, and that is what that is the premise of politics. So, in other words, organizational politics is referred to as workplace politics. That is normally find all this the word work politics or organizational politics. You know, so basically it is basically how or what principles govern or culture governs an organization, basically. Like a country, for example, you say partisan politics, basically philosophies that a government uses to direct the affairs of a country. So bringing it down to office politics, basically principles, behaviors, attitudes that governs the way of life in an organization. So if you look closely, politics and culture are very close. You cannot separate organizational politics from organizational culture. But as we go, you begin to understand that politics is not all that bad. And more importantly, it's something you cannot avoid.
Interesting. When we shared the flyer, a lot of people made submissions. Some say that office politics, you need to play it, but then you need to play it cautiously. Others also said that, look, it's something that is already there. So if you are not, it's already being played in the office or at the workplace. So if you are not involved, then it will catch up with you and you may be the meat for the table. I'm wondering, and when you talk about politics or office politics, is it different from networking? Because some say that, look, if you are not playing office politics, that means that you're not getting somebody who is speaking up for you when you're not in the room. So I'm wondering, is office politics similar to networking? Or if it is not, what is the difference between office politics and networking?
Okay, so office politics is basically a variety of activities associated with the use of influence tactics. Okay. Because people want to improve personal, maybe organizational interest. So organizations are basically political structures that provide opportunities for people to develop careers. Therefore, you see that politics in workplaces provide platforms for the expression of individual interests and motives. That is but networking is a way of identifying the right people that fit into your career, or should I say your purpose agenda. You network with people for business reasons, for career reasons, okay? Or beyond that. We always say networking is only for business and career. More than that, maybe you are into something different. For example, you're a mom and you want to link up with other moms who are succeeding as a mother. Okay, that as basic as it sounds, people network for things like that. So networking is actually a part of politics. If you find yourself networking with people in an organization that fits into your agenda. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because two reasons why people involve themselves in politics: one for personal reasons, or should we say, or let me use another word, for their individual factors that causes it. And then we also have organizational factors. But individual factors are personal career agenda. Maybe you want to rise to the top, but you don't want to work it out. Or probably you feel that if you want to have more money, more salary, promotion, whatever, things like that, personal reasons. And then we also have the organizational factors. For example, if resources are scarce, Patricia, me and you work as an example, and we know that opportunities for growth are scarce.
Yeah.
I would obviously want you to get it. So what will I do? I will network with the people that make the decisions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would say networking is a subset of workplace politics.
Oh, okay. Some have also talked about getting a sponsor at the workplace. What gives you that sponsor? Is it the politics or is it the networking?
The point is that you will have to move from networking to get to be effective in playing politics. Now, let me set the record straight.
Yeah.
Politicking in organizations is not bad. It's your agenda that determines whether it's bad or not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, politicking is not bad. Listen, I will say something. Play politics in order to achieve a positive agenda. Simple. So if I know Patricia being the CEO of Sidat and I work at Sidat, for example, I need to be able to ensure that I'm using my relationship with patients to achieve something what's positive. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
But people don't get it. You see, if I am a greedy person and I involve myself in politics, you would definitely not expect my politicking to be positive because of character. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
So if my character is negative, I would not involve myself in politics that is healthy. So I would ensure that I connect with the right people. For example, if I'm the person with a great character, you will find me amongst people that want to move the agenda of the business forward. Okay.
Yeah.
But other people who decide, listen, I want to make sure Patricia does not succeed, so I'll succeed.
Mm.
Do you understand? And that is one of the most common means of politicking that people are mostly focused on. So I hope that by this program, people will get to know that, listen, politics is not wrong if it is to promote a positive agenda in the organization.
Okay, so it's just like money in itself is not bad, but money takes the character of the one that has it. In the same way, politics is not bad. It takes the character of the person who is playing it.
Absolutely. That is, you've hit the nail on the head.
Whoa.
And the point is that an organization's culture determines the kind of politics that would be played.
Okay.
Because negative, I'm sure your questions will get to the fact, what the impact of politics is in an organization. But then the point is that if a culture is not careful about managing politics in an organization, there's going to be serious trouble.
Interesting. You made a very important point, and I think it is the basis for this discussion. That politics in itself is not bad, but it can be positive. So my next question is, what are the positives of politics, office politics for that matter, and what are the negatives? So the pros and cons. So we are clear in our minds what we are getting ourselves into when we decide to play or not to play. Right. So I'm saying that you made a very important point that politics in itself, or office politics in itself, is not bad. It could be positive. Yeah. So my question then is, what are the positives and the negatives of office politics? What are the pros and the cons, if you like?
Okay, so for negative politicking, obviously, and most of us would have experienced it, you have disengaged and low performing staff. Okay, so some research I found that has come up with the fact that employees in a negative political environment, the organization, they have satisfaction, they perform worse on the job, and have higher levels of job anxiety. Okay, and more importantly, because of the World Mental Day issue, you find out that most of them are depressed. They don't want to come to work, or even when they are at work, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from? They're focused because, you see, negative politics, it drains you. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yes.
So like I was saying, so you have a lot of people, so low productivity in the organization, all because, people are focusing on negative politics. And then you have lots of great talent. Negative office politics will always make the best people quit. All right. And then obviously, when productivity is low, what happens? Huge financial loss.
Yeah.
Okay. Huge financial loss. Huge financial loss to the business. So it's very, very important that we take these things very seriously and ensure that we don't involve ourselves in negative politics. Now, if we are to say the positive sides, obviously, if I'm involving in politics that is functional, it's going to be the reverse of what I've just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Increase in productivity. The bottom line is affected positively. You get a lot of innovative ideas popping up and all of that. So people are motivated to come to work because they see that the organization's culture encourages positivity. And that is what many employers and HR practitioners need to ensure they help, their people or their employers or management to ensure that, listen, they nip it in the bud when see people trying to take advantage of people in the business or for selfish agendas. One of my bosses always say, when you go to him and you're upset with someone, he will ask you, Emmaline, what is the objective of the organization? What is the focus of the business? The moment he says that, no, then you see that your emotions are coming down because you notice that you're not employed to be upset. You're not employed to take things personally. You are employed. Your job description has been set before you. Your target has been set before you. You don't need to be best friends with everybody you work with. You just have to be working colleagues. Focus on the job. After 5 p.m., you go to your house and you mind your business. Okay? So basically, those are the few pros and cons I could say about politicking in organization.
That's fine. So then it just buttresses the point you made earlier that politics in itself is not bad, but it's how you play it, and that makes it whether bad or not.
Absolutely.
Right. And I want to find out, uh, do you have some personal experiences? Because I know you've traveled far in terms of career, in terms of, especially in the role of HR. Have you had experiences either by virtue of your position as a HR person or personally of office politics that you would like to share with us so we can learn a lesson or two from them?
In fact, when people ask me this question, I'm almost it gets very emotional because it's I keep telling when I meet my clients and I'm speaking to people in training, like all my experience in Ghana has been more of negative than positive, which does not distract me because I think I take every negative and I turn it to positive. I think Ghanaians are very, very focused on personal and petty things. I don't know why. God willing, I found people like you, people like Cynthia, Jeff, and the few I could mention that are here that actually are focused on work, that actually are focused on a vision. But when you go to organizations, and I think this is what I think is the reason for a lot of negative politicking. When you're not confident about who you are, first of all, and your character is not positive, you always want to do things the negative way. Okay? If your character is not the welcoming type, you would always want to do things the negative way. And so I think that many organizations do not have the attitude, they don't recruit people with the right attitude. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
And it's surprising because I believe that the character of an employer determines who he or she attracts. So if as an employer, I work in a place and then I have people around me, because no employer can tell me you don't know people play politics. I mean, it's very obvious, like pregnancy, just that you can't touch it. Yeah, exactly. But many employers do not really care to actually nip it in the bud, and that surprises me. Even when you get to management, I mean, I'm in the management. I'm a management member. The kind of things you experience, it's very baffling. So I have let me use my early experience. That was in between 2014 and 2012. So I was hired to a company that wanted me to be restructured. All right, they wanted to restructure the. I had my boss first, an HR practitioner. So one of the most brilliant HR professionals I've worked with, and so she hired me, and then she told me of the vision, what she wanted to do for this company. This company was a startup company, and then we got there, and there was no structure, there was nothing in place. Many of the staff and employees they didn't have a sense of direction, and it was amazing. Not having an HR in an organization is like not having a mother in the house, you know. So when she came in and then she put the structures in place, my God, the feedback was like, oh my God, finally, we are working in a proper place. Finally, I'm home. Finally, I work in an organization, because they had a sense of peace and calm. The role of HR practitioners cannot be underestimated. Would you believe that after all the fantastic things we did, certain people began to pick on my boss for reasons I am yet to understand. It got so bad. Yes, they began to pick on my boss, and then because they picked on my boss, obviously they picked on those of us that she hired. Now, we were there to ensure that the business works. Sometimes we will work longer hours. I am not the kind of person that likes to work more than 8 hours in the office. But if work has to be done, I also don't like to leave work for the next day. You understand? So these are the kind of sacrifices made for the company because we believed in where the company was going. Patricia, it was amazing how many people just did not enjoy the fact that there was sanity in the building. So one of my coaches told me, said, listen, it will amaze you how certain people thrive in dysfunction.
Whoa.
And I didn't understand why until I noticed that people thrive in dysfunction because it favors them. So if I put a stumbling block in front of Patricia, the fact that I will get what I want will let me leave that stumbling block in front of you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it looked like what we came to do revealed or exposed a lot of inefficiencies in the parts of certain people that did not want those things exposed. And so my boss was sacked for a very, very lame excuse.
The moment she was sacked, I knew that obviously I wouldn't remain there because I couldn't work with any. Oh, no, but I didn't waste my time. God was also good to, he got me a job not long after she left, and I walked away. Okay, so that is one of the experiences I have got where people just go and spread lies about you, say things about you that were negative, things like that. And one other thing I have experienced in my life is that there's certain people that are not as professional as you, but when they get things wrong, they try to turn the tables and say, Emmaline caused it. All right. Well, Emmaline has she has fulfilled her part of the job. I have done my part. But because they all are trying to hide behind someone, they want to show the next person who is not popular. So you know what they do? So you're not popular, you don't know that, you don't know anybody in management, or you don't know anybody who is part of the board. All right. So they feel, oh, as for you, you just like working. You're not smart enough. You came to work. People can step on your toes anytime. And they think that they can just throw you off board. Things like, and I'm like, really? And so somebody tried it, and immediately, I'm a very nice person. For people who know me, people say they don't see me get upset or whatever. Yes, I mean, I'm a happy-go-lucky woman. But if you want to see my horns on my head, just try to discredit my work. Patricia, you can insult me, you cannot be my friend, don't give me stuff I don't care. But when you discredit me, when I know I don't deserve to be discredited, where I know I am competent in that role, then we're going to have problems. And so I did not. So somebody called me and told me, listen, they are saying these things about you regarding a situation that has pended, blah, yada, yada, yada. And then I didn't even let him land. I said, listen, I am highly disappointed at you. Why did you not tell them the truth that I had done my work, but it is sitting on your table? Have you seen that thing, Patricia?
Yeah.
So people in politics, it's not just about what they say, it's about the information they don't give to ensure that the right thing is done. So you notice that certain people hoard information. They know, oh, if Patricia should know this information, her life will be good, she'll be promoted, or she will look like a superstar, so I'm going to keep it. And people need to understand that dimming somebody's candle does not make yours brighter.
Please,
somebody's candle.
Say that again. Say that again.
Dimming somebody's candle does not make your light brighter. In fact, when you let somebody else's light shine, the room becomes brighter. So I think that people need to get their hearts cleaned up. You need to have a clean heart for you to involve yourself in politics that is healthy.
Wow. This is profound. So from the experiences that you've shared with us, yes, indeed it is. Clean out your heart. Yes, play it, but don't play it dirty, because when it's dirty, it means that it creates a toxic environment that affects all of us eventually. So either you ship out or you move out. Oh, so that
absolutely, that is so true.
From your experience, would you advise us to get involved in office politics? And if you would advise us to get involved, how should we get involved?
Awesome. I love this question because, like I said earlier, you cannot avoid organizational politics because politics is a way of life. Even husbands and wives at home are politicians.
I tell you.
Exactly. So in my experience, I mean, one of the things you need to learn how to do is not to take things personal. Okay. So for like the example I gave you, where I had been discredited, they had gone to sit somewhere in the caucus and were saying negative things about me. I mean, the easiest thing to have done was to get upset, start being negative, say negative words, or even say I was resigning out of that. Okay. But I went ahead and went to face the people who spoke about me or who heard the negative reports about me and were not patient enough to listen to me. And I went there to defend myself. So the first thing I always say is that don't be emotional, be professional. People who engage in negative politics respect people who are involved in positive politics. When they see that every time, hey, Patricia, I'm always throwing stones at her. I'm always putting banana peels on the floor for her to walk and fall. But she does not take it personal. You know what happens? When I always tell people, listen, the day will come when the boys will be separated from the men, when the girls will be separated from the women. The day the real work needs to be done and something comes up and they need somebody to do the work, they will remember you. with all the negative things they are doing, trying to get rid of you and all of that, the day it is time for the real job, they know very well that, listen, this time they can't put a politician, they have to put the right person for the job. They'll put you there. Whenever they're speaking about you, like, hey, Patricia there, she there, she doesn't belong to our class, so she's always there, she's always doing her work well. And in their bid to try to be petty, they actually, be positive about you. So try as much as possible. Don't be emotional, be professional too. Focus on why you are employed. Your job description did not say come and sit down, engage in group thinking, form cliques, and then throw shades. No, your job description is clear. Learn how to ignore people's pettiness. Focus on professionalism. One of my bosses, to another brilliant HR professional, said to me, whenever you find yourself in such a situation, just speak professional language. What does the policy say? What are the processes and the procedures? So I come to you, Patricia has upset me, she's done things about me. Patricia, good morning, can I please have the report from yesterday? I'm sure Patricia will expect me to come and I'm all upset, or I'm not talking to her. No, that's for kids. Maturity will keep you sane in a negative political environment. And the reason why you also need to be positive is that people are watching.
Yeah.
Okay. People are watching. You should be an example. Be the light in your organization. All right. Let people see that, listen, you can be in politics positively and grow without having some negative influence around you. All right. So when you stand the test of time in an organization, until you pack your bags and it's time for you to go, what will people say about you? Will people learn from you? Because it gets to a point where people do what they do, they get tired of it. Like, you know what, this doesn't even benefit me at all. But I think I like the way Patricia is behaving. So please, don't avoid. Yeah, somebody saying something, Jeff. Exactly.
Yes.
When you know your work, when you know your job, I mean, you shut up the naysayers. And I always say, always test positive for personal development. Listen, whilst they are throwing shades at you, develop yourself. Whilst they are being negative about you, develop yourself. Sometimes some of you have bosses that don't like you. That is even the most challenging part of it. When your boss does not like your matter, cry because you are more competent than your boss. My dear, remain humble, respect your boss, give credit to your boss, but keep developing yourself. Keep working on yourself. You can never be unsuccessful if you continue developing yourself. The surest way to grow, the surest way to succeed, even in fire, when I say fire, negative environment, is to keep developing yourself, because you need your mental state to work. I know what it feels like to work with a boss that doesn't like you. Trust me. I know the feeling all too well, right? But people see me and I'm doing well. And that is because I have not focused on what they do to me. My focus is on my career. My career is the only thing my organization cannot control. I control my career, but my job belongs to my organization. So I have to give them my best. And I work at it. Now, Jeff is also speaking about racism. Well, I haven't experienced racism before, but I can imagine how mentally depressing that can be.
That would be double trouble. With
double trouble. But
and
right, even in racism, if you see, human beings are human beings, all right? The principles apply. However, you need to know what principle will work. So my point is that be competent, as Jeff has said. Maintain competency, all right? No matter what they do to you, they don't like you, they don't like your face, they speak negative about you, focus on your work. Focus on your work. And guess what? The easiest way to respond to them is by saying good things about them, doing good things for them. When they say you do the work, you do it for them. You don't try to sabotage their job as well. Just make sure that you are the light that your organization needs. So please, play politics smart, because you can't avoid it.
Play it smart. And the best you can do for yourself is to develop yourself and keep developing yourself and be good, unarguably good at what you do. Then politics,
absolutely,
fire or no fire, it will be like gold that has passed through the fire and has been refined. you still come out.
I tell you.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Stephen is asking a question. Please, is it good for a new entrant employee to involve in office politics, especially when those involved have sharp differences? I don't know if you understand the question he's asking.
Okay. Obviously, the reason why people play politics is because they see that they think they have an advantage over you. That is why people play negative politics. Oh, Patricia, she doesn't know what she's not smart. One of my bosses, I remember, who till today we don't roll, made a comment in the early days and said we need to what's it called? For lack of a better word, take shortcuts and do what we do. Do you understand? So it means that you don't have to be morally right in in your dealings in business.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't waste my time in showing people who I am. I don't care who you are. I'm the president of the United States. If I don't believe in something, I'll let you know. All right, but in the most polite way that I can.
Yeah.
And he noticed that we don't share the same values, so he doesn't like my matter. Right? He doesn't like my matter. And for me, instead of it being frustrating, it makes me even proud of myself that I can even stand my ground in the midst of people. So listen, understand first of all what politics is. When you say involve in office politics, I think your mind is still going to involve in negative politics. Do not engage yourself in negative politics, but respond professionally to it. So as a new entrant, what are you there for? Like I said, you were hired for something. Your contract has stated what you are there for. Your job description has stated what you are there for. Focus on your work. Now, if the politicking becomes unbearable, plan your exit.
Okay.
If the politicking becomes unbearable, plan your exit. Where it affects you mentally, please take a walk. Because it gets to a point you will not continue. You cannot thrive in such an organization because you are different. Okay, so do your best, be positive, do your job, try and focus on what you're there to do. If you think you can't take it, plan your exit. Contracts in employment is not by force.
Of course.
It's not by force. Yes.
Of course. If you can't stand the heat, then you leave the kitchen. But
yes, absolutely.
And don't you see? Let's answer Boama's question. It's a competence and posting results, but for how long? But I think
yes,
with what
I just answered it. Yes, obviously. Yes. I mean, do it until you find it. You make a decision to leave. Some people leave not because they found a job, but mentally is depressing. Listen, the easiest way to survive an environment like that, where there might be no options, is to be competent enough that when you leave a job, people will fight for you to get a job. Listen, if you are a person where if you lose your job today, for example, your company closes down, which is maybe no fault of yours, or like Yomia is asking, I cannot continue to be competent and posting results in the midst of negative politics. Whether you have a job or not, work. Between a month or two, you should find something doing. Either you get employed or you are so useful that you yourself are providing services to people and people need you. That's my belief in life. I don't believe I will be stuck for anything. That is why I don't joke with developing myself. Okay, I have this faith that God has me to become all I can be. So the responsibility is on me to stir it up, to hone my skills, to ensure that I don't lack in any way. So that when my bosses are trying to play the fool out of me in their minds, I would be the person to throw the last card, my joker card. You get what I'm saying? Try not to be predictable. See, that's another thing. When you develop yourself all the time, you are not predictable. People don't know what they can expect. So tomorrow a project comes, and because they've not been focusing on development of staff, they think, oh, they don't have the person that can do it. Then tomorrow you say, oh, I can do it. Let me do the job. Like, wow, Patricia, you can do this job. Yes, I can do it. Then they give you the job to do and do excellently well. Then guess what? Their respect level goes higher for you. That is the easiest way to respond to naysayers in organizations, instead of you dancing to their tune.
Thank you, Emmaline. So from what we've gathered, then it means that the negative politicking at the workplace eventually affects employee morale and then productivity. I'm wondering how it leads to that? I know you've said some in passing, but specifically, how does negative politics, I'm distinguishing between the positive and negative because we understand that the positive one is good and we should play it well, but the negative one has always been the problem. How does it affect employee morale and also productivity at work?
Okay, so you know very well that depression is a stress-related state, right?
Yeah.
So when you find yourself in a negative environment, if you are the kind that is positive,
okay,
you don't gel. It's like putting fish out of water. That fish will die, right?
Yeah.
So if you are the kind of person that focuses on productivity, positivity, and you find yourself in a place where all the time people are just trying to frustrate you, obviously you get disappointed, you get discouraged, and these are all negative emotions, you know. And then your hormones, you are what's it called, activating hormones that are not positive in you, and it's all turning stressful, and obviously your body reacts to it, and then you're depressed. That is a cycle. I mean, I'm seeing this for, if you see the way I'm saying it, you can see that it's an experience I've been through.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes some people even start crying because it's that heavy. I don't know what I've done to my boss. Everything I do doesn't please him. Everything I say makes him upset. My colleagues don't like me. Oh my goodness, it is very harassing. The most annoying part is when you go for board meetings and people make a fool out of you in public. That is so painful because somebody just doesn't like you. Obviously, when you go home and the next morning your alarm rings, you don't see yourself wanting to wake up to go back to the office. And the fear of going to that kind of environment leads to more depression.
Yeah.
So when that person is depressed, because now full of fear and anxiety, how do you expect the creative juice to flow? How? It's a joke. It's a big joke. And you know the funny thing, even those who are the culprits of negative politicking are also not productive because they're not focusing on the work. Rather, they're focusing on stepping or creating or making Patricia's job difficult. So yes, when the person is depressed, the person's creative juices reduces, the person doesn't have a passion to work, the person does not have the vim of life, and obviously no productivity. And when there's no productivity, what happens to bottom line? Look at COVID-19 and uncertainty. Look at what is happening to employees. Fear, panic. So many forward-thinking organizations are providing emotional support for their staff. That is why these days employee assistance programs are very important.
Yeah.
Okay, because these are people even commit suicide because of these things, but we don't hear about it because they're not MPs or government officials. Celebrities are important. Okay, but people are dying, suffering from these things in private, and you guess what happens? They go home, then it affects their family. Obviously, a man or a woman who's not happy on the job will go. There's a tendency to affecting his or her love life. Then just imagine what kind of hell that person is living in. And the person comes to the office, the boss does not understand why he or she is like that. And the boss also adds fire to the to the fire. Patricia, why are you late? Why are you not working? Why are you not paying attention to detail? Instead of asking you, Patricia, you've changed. You don't seem happy. What is wrong? Patricia, please, any employer that allows negative politics in his company is doomed to fail. There's no two ways about it.
No two ways about that. So if you allow it, negative politics, you allow it to the collapse of your business. Jeff says, I think that the negativity associated with office politics emanates from the general view of politics. Good office politics is not different from networking with a purpose.
Absolutely.
And I think you made that point early on.
Yeah, he's right.
Made that point early on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. So you made mention of the fact that the person who owns the business attracts the kind of people they work or they work with. Now, my question is this. I'm thinking, does it therefore mean that the management of the organization has a role to play in either allowing or encouraging negative office politics or not?
Absolutely. Earlier in my submission, I said politics and culture, you cannot separate both of them, because the culture of an organization will determine whether good or bad politics will thrive.
Okay.
Right? So if you are an organization focused on delivering results, focused on people, you don't have time for negative politics. So my experience is that Patricia is my boss, Jeff is the CEO, for example. Then I am somebody who has no ambition. People who don't have positive ambitions. Oh, some people have that ambitious, they want to step over people. So people, so people who don't have positive ambitions, right? I will see that Patricia, I won't get my way. I want to do something, but Patricia will step on that. Patricia want me to go through the process and I'm not interested. Then I go straight to Jeff, because Jeff and I, maybe we have some kind of closeness. Actually, he's my body, so no shake. If I get to Jeff, I'm getting what I want. And Jeff being a CEO, a weak CEO, this is an example, we say, oh, Emmaline, go ahead. Without us been through Patricia. Yeah?
Yeah.
You understand that structures are there to create order in an organization.
Yes.
So if I break my chain of command, the CEO must ensure that the person speaking to him per the structure is the person to be speaking to him. The only time you get to a CEO is when you are cascaded. You've cascaded through all levels and they've all disappointed you. You can get to a CEO. Now, a CEO is, so let's assume Jeff is a CEO who is into innovation, creativity, and all of that. Obviously, someone like that will not be interested in bad politics. The first thing we say is, listen, you have a superior. Go to your superior. Your superior has been mandated to deal with these issues.
Yeah.
And I go like, oh, boss, you know, but you see, my boss wants I need special clearance. I don't want to go through this process because we might lose the blah blah. No. I understand you. Thank you very much, Miss Emmaline. But I still believe that you cannot sidestep your boss to come to me. If you need special clearance, your boss should be the one requesting for it on your behalf. If you have management behaving this way, there is no way in on earth that bad politics would reign.
Okay.
If a staff comes to complain about another staff, you know, being very disrespectful or trying to take advantage of him with evidence, pay attention. Listen. Put the fear of God in your staff. Say, listen, there's anything I don't tolerate here. If I see this, you're out. And when employees begin to see that, listen, every time somebody misbehaves, the person is kicked out, everybody will be aligned. If anybody is afraid, the person will resign him or herself. If the person has the same mindset as the business, the person will stay. What is so disappointing, Patricia, is that you see organizations with fantastic vision and mission statements to be the global, to reach out, to be the number one, to be the premier, but the behavior does not correlate with the vision.
Exactly.
So many a times, I always notice that people are just interested in just lip service. Oh, I want to look like an organization. I want to look like. So we are more interested in what people see than the substance of what we are. Just you're sometimes say yes. These are to answer your question, yes, the leaders of organization are responsible for culture. If good politics is part of your culture, let it be known to your people. If bad politics is not encouraged, nip it in the bud. Don't wait for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years before you now come and start dealing with these things. Within the first 6 months of an employee's onboarding, if the person does not show you traits that shows that you are going to the moon, if your company is called NASA, please divorce the person after 6 months. Don't waste your time or his time.
Wow, interesting. But you realize that in some organizations, the bosses actually encourage backbiting. If you don't go to them, they're always asking, what are people saying about me? You know, and those that go to them with what people are saying, saying or not saying anyway, but go to them and tell them, look, people are saying ABCD, this person is saying ABCD. They are the people that they see as good staff or employees. But those that will not come to them,
snitches.
Say they will then say, these people, they don't like me, they don't like the organization, they don't want the organization to progress. How would you say to that? I mean, what would you say to that?
It is a fact, it's a reality. It's something I experienced myself. People know where I work. I would not go to my CEO or go to the board or somebody there, even though I have the ability to go and start, snitching around. You have people that do that. But the funny thing, it always comes back to bite them. When trouble comes, the people who they went to speak to will quickly denounce, Patricia, I don't know her.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted, guys. Listen, the company of fools shall be scattered. Somewhere in the book of Proverbs, I can't remember the chapter and the verse, but it is there. The company of fools shall be scattered. People with bad intentions don't care about you, but about their agenda. So if you think that Patricia is somebody who would help you to do your diabolical things, she's not interested in you. She's interested in what you can give her. So the day you are a threat to Patricia's position, she will deny you as quick sand.
Flat.
So please, don't bother yourself. Don't waste your time. Tomorrow, those same people who say you don't snitch, like I said, when decisions are being made in the boardroom, your name will be mentioned. Yeah. Wow. And this is an experience I have experienced. It's not a story, it's my personal life.
I know, right? Thank you so much. Jeff is asking, please, if you have any question at this point, you can write your question at the chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Jeff is asking, is bureaucracy and vertical chains of command not dangerous by creating gatekeeping opportunities?
I really don't understand his question. Can he rephrase? Or ask it another way. Or he can unmute himself and ask.
Jeff, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay, so really what I'm thinking here, I think, Emmaline, you said something, right? You said leaders should ask people to go back and talk to their superiors before they get to them, right?
Yes.
And what I see, because I've been a leader before, and what I've seen is that, people who sit in between you and subordinates, right, when they do things that are wrong, when they over politicize things, and the people who are actually doing the work want to speak up, when you tell them to go back and talk to those people, right, those people, they create like kind of a bottleneck and they become a gatekeeper. So you don't really know what's going on in the organization, right? So my thought is, if you actually you create an open door policy where people can come and speak to you directly as a leader, when people can come and speak to you about their bosses, and you can get them together to sit with their bosses and have their bosses explain why they did certain things, because the bosses also report to you, right? I've found out generally that when you give people that confidence, they actually stay than leave. Because when people feel like they always have to go back, right? When they feel like they always have to go back to the very person who's making life difficult for them, they actually walk away. So that's what I was trying to say.
Okay. I gave my answer in context. What you're talking about is something different, which I understand. But what Patricia was asking was, the leaders having the responsibility to ensure that bad politics is not part of the culture. And I gave an example of an employee who is trying to be mischievous. The person does not want to go through the normal
process.
The person knows that if it goes through this process, it's not benefits. Let me be very clear. Let me make it open to maybe Jeff will understand what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So in media, for example, there's certain things you can do to make money outside getting a salary. All right?
Like payola.
Exactly. If I bring in a particular person to the business, or if I go and cover a particular story, I would get what I want. Now, I know if I go through my direct boss, she will not allow me, because per policy and ethically, it's wrong. So I decided, listen, Jeff is my boss, and let me just, and you know what I will do? I won't go to Jeff and tell him the real story. I'll go and tell him that, oh, my boss is making my life difficult. She doesn't want me to be creative. She's always sitting on my shine. And immediately the boss said, really? At that point, what's the boss supposed to do? Call Patricia. I said, this is what I am hearing. And let you see, when employees know that whenever you come and speak to the boss, that's the CEO, for example, you would always want to find out and validate it. So people don't think that you can come and lie, take advantage of the person, but you do it in a particular way, not to embarrass the party, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Emmaline, is that so? Tell me more. Hey, boss, can you imagine? I brought this person on air. She said no. I brought this person on air. She said no. I went to cover this story. She said no. Why? She just said no, no reason, which is a lie. And then out of emotions, the CEO like, you know what? You have my permission, go and do it. Without calling Patricia to find out what really happened.
What exactly happened?
Exactly. And that is something I see happening in organizations.
So when you do that, then you are rather encouraging negative politicking.
Absolutely. So you know what will happen? The person will now, their boss loses power. The boss authority is being undermined because it's the boss that does things right. This is the boss that will do things the right way. But this employee seemingly just wants to get his way. Remember that anybody doing bad politics has an agenda that is not within the organization's expectations.
Exactly. It's very personal.
Anybody in bad politics has no agenda in the objectives of the business. Anytime there's an employee-employee relationship, it means that the objectives of the employee and the objectives of the company must be what? A match, not a mismatch. So whatever things I am doing as Emmaline, I work in EIB network, whatever I am doing, even when you find me speaking at places, I always ensure that people write that I work in EIB network because I am pushing the brand of my company. You get a point? Because my company, one of the things we want to do is what? We want to make people know who we are. So all the things I do, I ensure that it is also going to benefit my organization. So even if I come to my company, people say I'm a media, oh, Emmaline, I need you to help me get, sponsorship, media, blah, 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 blah. The only time I will accept is if it will benefit my company.
Exactly.
If it will benefit my company, I won't do it. So some people would think that Emmaline is doing this because she has some change to take. Oh, Emmaline is giving Patricia airtime on GH1 because she will get some 10 CDs Paola from Patricia. But what the person does not know is that I am thinking that Patricia's brand, the moment it is connected with my company, the people that know Patricia will know about my company. And so that is what? Business.
Yeah.
And I haven't taken 5 CDs, anything for Patricia. That is what we are talking about. These are the kind of examples we mean. Where people don't just sidestep authority for selfish reasons. Obviously, open door policies must exist. But it must always be controlled because people take advantage of it. Today, we have laws governing women in the Western world. But certain women have taken advantage of it because they know that will benefit from it. It's the same thing here. Whatever policy you put in an organization, when it is, even if it is positive, somebody with a diabolical mind wants to take advantage of it. So we need to be very careful with these things.
Thank you so much. You mentioned that, and I think you've repeated it again, that culture and politics go hand in hand. For HR practitioners, we know that if you don't define the organizational culture, the people themselves will develop their own silo cultures within the organization, which may not be in line with the objectives of the organization. So just as we try to define the culture of the organization, would you say that we should also define the kind of politicking we want to have in the organization as management, as HR?
Yes, being intentional is very important in everything that we do. Okay? You have to be intentional about what we do. See, it is very, very absurd for you to think that politics is something you can avoid. So someone like me, for example, when I'm dealing with my team in my private business I do, I make them understand from the get-go what I am here for and what I expect from them. And I try to let them understand that, listen, I know what happens in other organizations, but this and this will not be permitted here. This and this will be allowed here. So any employer that does not come and speak about politics, good politics, is giving room for bad politicking.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not something. It's not common. A lot of CEOs I have experienced, they really don't have time for these things. They just take the position and let every other person just manage. They don't even know what is going on. They don't know what is happening in the business. Okay, but it's very important that the employers are very conscious about what happens in the business. They cannot deny the fact that politics is part of the business. You cannot separate the two.
Mm.
So yes, I agree. When engaging the team, let them understand what is acceptable here and what is not. Let them, and that is why we have what we call values
Yeah.
in the company. Every organization with the mission and vision has values which define the kind of behavior expected in order to achieve the goals of the organization. Behaviors that will reflect where you are going as defined by your vision. Behaviors that would enable you achieve what the mission is set to do.
Mm.
So whenever you define your values of the organization, you are indirectly talking about the kind of political environment you are encouraging.
Mm. And by what you do or what you don't do, you're also encouraging either a good one or the
Bad
negative
one.
one.
Absolutely. So when you close your eye, you say, oh, what Patricia is doing, you let it go. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that happen now, you cannot see the impact of it today. Let it fester. You will see expensive to deal with that. Many of us leaders are very emotional, very highly sentimental.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, leadership is about knowing when to make the right decision, making the right judgment, understanding the situation, and being able to forecast to know that whatever decision you make today, these are the results to create tomorrow. Leadership is not an easy task. It's not for people that just come in to sit down and fry coasty and eat. No,
Enjoy
it
the
is a
fame and
very
the
serious.
name.
You have to be very analytical, be able to predict behavior. All right. You must be able to predict behavior. It's not a small job, but a lot of us in leadership lack such competencies to be able to do that. So when your leadership skill is weak, it affects your teams. Yeah, it affects your teams. And teams, your team is as good as your leader. The strongest traits of a leader is that is where the weakest link begins. So if you are a leader and you're number 8, that is the highest you can go. That is why I always speak about personal development.
Yeah.
Because if you always remain where you are, when there are new problems, you cannot attend to it. So with negative politicking, leaders must step up to the game and make sure that nothing takes them by surprise.
Mm.
All right.
Thank you so much. Womia is making a contribution. Womia says we must also encourage and empower our team to speak up within our circles to debar gatekeeping tendencies. Together with the team, share and live team values birthed from the corporate values. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think these are great submissions. Attaining your self-awareness, understand the personality and communication styles of your individual team members and adapt. And leadership, maybe on another day we'll talk about leadership. I know for leadership, we are so passionate about it very soon.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. Yomia's last point is very important. And I think it's one of the reasons why people politicize. You see, communication, as simple as the word is very difficult. You find it very difficult for us to manage. So Patricia has a way of life when it comes to communicating. Everybody has communication styles.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to succeed in my working relationship with you, Patricia, I have my own communication style. I cannot impose my style on you.
Exactly.
So I want something from you. I have to react to your own style, understand your style to get what I want. So most of the times, if you are selfless, you are able to deal with your teams, whether you're a leader or your peer or subordinate. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Being able, and all of these things Yomia has stated, it has to do with humility. Humility. So when you see that you have values of humility, it directs the way you deal with your people. You understand? When you have communication as your value, you see it in the way you deal with your people. There are certain values when you see, you know that you cannot be negatively political in this place. It can't happen. So indeed, what Yomia is saying is so true.
Mm.
So.
So as leaders in our various organizations, let's make the effort, let's be intentional and create a kind of environment that does not allow negative politicking within the workplace. If indeed you want your business to remain a going concern, if you want your organization to achieve its goals and objectives, then you may want to have another look at the kind of culture you are directly or indirectly projecting within your organization, and the kind of politicking you are allowing within your organization. And I think it's very key. HR practitioner leadership at every level has a role to play in that. Emmaline, there are people too who are humble, because you mentioned humility. Maybe my last question before we go, because I think we have spent over an hour. There are people who are humble, and sometimes people mistake their humility to be timidity, and therefore, trample upon them. You know what I mean? Just get them not to shine as they ought to be, and they allow it because they feel that if they speak up, then they are not being humble. Can you maybe, as before your last words, can you help me and help us understand this? Okay, timidity,
Okay.
humility, assertiveness, and let's say egoistic tendencies.
Good. So I'm going to mention certain things that will help address that attitude. First of all, humility is not weakness.
Exactly.
So if I am somebody who decides that I want to stoop low to conquer, it does not mean I'm stupid. It just means I'm putting my needs behind me and putting yours ahead of me.
Mm.
So what you need to understand is that you need to approach negative politic players with a sense of what emotional intelligence.
Love that.
Understand how the informal network works.
Mm-hmm.
But that is where you find the politics. Negative politics are not formal networks. They are informal within the
Informal
business.
networks.
So do not be afraid of politically powerful people in the organization. Approach everything in confidence.
Confidence.
As you follow the laid down rules, the ethics, the processes and procedures, as you develop and maintain the MVP status, becoming a performer, focus on your focus, shooting your shots, being consistently consistent, being professional, not pitching camps, not involving in negative politics, but getting ahead of it, you are increasing your confidence level.
Great.
Did you get that? Yes. There are certain things that you do. So some people think that humility is just funny. I'm sitting down doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
No.
Because
no.
No.
Evil men prosper when good men keep quiet.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid. Just be emotionally intelligent. Know the people you are dealing with. Understand their communication style and respond rather. Just ensure that you are following your laid down rules, the ethics, procedures, processes, becoming a performer, focus on your focus. That way, you see that you are motivated to keep going, even though things are not easy, until you step out, if the people decide that they won't change. So humility is not weakness.
Wow. Please, let's understand this. Let's understand this, okay? Humility is not a weakness. Be humble, yet speak up if you have to, and be assertive without being disrespectful. Sometimes we confuse the two. So let's be clear on our minds. And office politics, whether we believe it or not, whether we like it or it happens, but let's be contributors to positive politicking within the organization. And let's avoid negative politicking, because in the long run, it will go against you. And people are watching. People are watching. And if they have to make a decision or vote to push you up, many people will vote against you because of the negative politicking you are involved in. And play it right. Be cautious and know that, yes, you can play it positively and with purpose. And I think it's very important that we understand this. And like Emmaline has said repeatedly, keep developing yourself, and developing yourself. And a time will come when, even though they may not like you, they can't avoid giving you that position because you are the best at it. Thank you, Emmaline. Maybe your final words, if there is no question, then we call it a day.
Okay, so I'm going to share some of my final words from my article. I will share the link on the chat box. I wrote
Okay.
on organizational politics, adapt or die.
Hmm.
So one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors.
Okay.
Understand that. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you will end up being governed by your inferiors. So that is why in the beginning I said you need to know how to play the politics right.
Hmm.
If you refuse to participate in workplace politics, you would risk not having a say in what happens and allowing people with less experience or competencies to influence decision making that will affect you.
Mm.
That is the reason why I kept on saying, well, develop yourself all the time.
Mm.
When you keep developing yourself, you always have something to say at the boardroom or in management meetings. All right. Every decision you make, ensure you back it up with data and a compelling business case, so that whenever anybody has anything negative to say about you, facts don't lie, numbers never lie.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So in well-run organizations, facts and principles are worth more than titles and personalities.
Mm.
So when people are there fighting for positions, your bosses are there fighting for positions, ensure that you are always focusing on facts and principles. What gets people ahead is looking for ways to work smarter, faster, and what better. It is very important, therefore, that we all need to be aware of potentially destructive aspects of work politics so that we can minimize the negative impact it may have on us.
Hmm.
So wise politicking will help you get what you want in the world of work without compromising others in the process. Learn to use its power positively while diffusing the efforts of those who abuse it.
Hmm.
People with political skills tend to do better in gaining more personal power as well as managing stress and job demands than their politically naive counterparts.
Hmm.
People who are able to play politics wisely always have a greater impact on organizational outcomes. So please, this is not an opportunity for you to say, I'm running away from politics. No, please ensure that you don't run away, develop the skills for politics, and everything will be fine. I've shared the article on the group, on the chat box. You can click on it and you can read on more tips on how to manage politics in an organization. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Emmaline. This has been very insightful indeed. So you see, you can't run away from it. And like some have said, you are either seated at the table or you are the menu on the table. You choose. You choose. Decide. Right?
I like that. That is so true.
Yes. Decide.
So true.
Mm-hmm. Because whether you like it or not, it happens. So use it to your advantage, but like we have been advised, do it in a positive way. Don't step on somebody to get to the top. Don't discredit somebody, to get what you want. But position yourself in a way that you will get what you want without necessarily being negative or hurting other people in the process.
Absolutely.
As leaders, please, let's be mindful of this. Let us consciously create the kind of politicking we want to happen within our organization. As HR practitioners, let's set the ball rolling. Let's be conscious. If your organization doesn't have a well-defined culture, and for that matter, politicking within the organization, this is the time to do it. It's never too late. So take the steps right now and make sure that you create the kind of environment that you want people, because negative politicking affects productivity. It affects employees' morale. It's so stressful and frustrating.
Absolutely.
And if you're not careful, you will end up hurting your business, not the people, and also the people involved in the business. Thank you so much for making the time to watch this. And we'll keep on reminding ourselves that office politics is real. You either involve yourself in it or you become the victim. But let's play it right. Thank you, Emmaline. It's so
You're welcome.
Pleasure to
Thank
have
you for having me.
Thank you everyone for coming. See you again next week. Thank you so much for your time. Bye everyone. Remember that Career Clinic or Career Coaching and Mentoring class is brought to you by Sadat Consult with support from Logo Brand. Please contact Logo Brand on 020-395-4216, 020-395-4216 for all your branding and graphic designing needs. Thank you everyone. See you next week. Thank you, Emmaline.